Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of GG Gaming. I am your host and player 1, Andrew, and with me is my player 2, Joey.
Hi!
Yeah, it's been maybe 4 weeks since we recorded.
A while.
We had a mix-up of a mix between Joey being sick and me forgetting to record when Joey was available. So I'm kind of the one to blame. But, what you gonna do?
It's partly my fault, too.
Well, it's not your fault for being sick.
That's what quitters say.
Sure. We're gonna try something new today. We are going to introduce a movie section. We'll get into that a little later on. So we're gonna talk about games, and we're gonna talk about movies. But first, we are gonna talk about what we've been up to this past 4 weeks.
Yeah.
What have you been up to aside from being sick at that one point in time?
Trying to regain my strength.
Wait,
I had a really bad kidney infection.
Oh, no.
And yeah, so I kind of had to start from scratch and work my way up to eating better and being able to actually walk because I was like so weak and tired.
Ooh, start from scratch from a newborn.
Yeah, that wasn't fun at all.
Learn how to talk again and walk again.
I could talk. I just I had been bedridden for a week, so I couldn't.
That
I don't know.
sucks.
Your body forgets. It's really creepy.
How about anything else you've been up to aside from games and movies?
Well, nothing really.
If anything.
Just taking it really slow. I've actually seen a lot of movies, and I haven't played many games just because there was too much brain activity, and I wasn't up for that.
Well, I guess that's okay. What you gonna do? I watched a couple movies. I played a lot of games, and I'm trying to think. 4 weeks. I worked because I have to work. I studied because I have to study. And I hung out with people because I gotta hang out with people. I really didn't do anything too big that's not just what I usually do. I mean, I'll get into the games in a bit, and I'll get into the movies later on, but, wow, I thought I'd have a lot more to talk about what I did. Well then, I guess we could just jump right into it then.
Alrighty.
Time for the gaming section. Would you like to talk about what you've been playing, or would you like me to talk about what I've been playing?
You can go first because I don't have many games that I played.
Have you played anything?
No, but I did order. I did order a game, which I'm ashamed, but I'm not really. I ordered Just Dance 2017 because I am that basic, and I love easy workouts.
I need to work out. I started a diet, and then I ate a lot today, and I felt bad. But let's see. I bought a lot of games, and probably not going to spend too much time talking about games because we're going to try and hit about an hour show. So I think I'm going to start with the furthest back, and as we go from episode to episode, if I haven't covered them all, I'll continue the next week, and I hopefully have somewhat of a backlog of games to talk about. So first off, the games I have been playing. I played some, of course, the mobile games. I played Kingdom Hearts Unchained Key, and recently Fire Emblem Heroes. And I also played Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. And for not mobile games, because I'm not really a mobile gamer, but I played those games, I believe I talked about Shantae last time.
Yes.
So
yes.
after that, what came out after that? There was Resident Evil 7. There was Kingdom Hearts 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue, if that's the exact title. What's the other one that Gravity Rush 2. And there's probably I played a little bit more Animal Crossing, and there's gotta be like one or two other games I'm forgetting. But if I forget them, I can mention them next time. Did I say that I beat Final Fantasy 15?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
almost positive we talked about
Oh,
that.
okay. And I got a hold of the digital only download for people who pre-ordered at GameStop. So I got a hold of a
Ooh.
code and played whatever that was called, Final Fantasy 15, A Knight's Tale, I think, or something like that.
Was that the movie or was that like the DLC?
No, I have the movie and I have to watch that, but I
Ah,
haven't watched it yet. But there is a game that kind of acts like a 2D sprite brawler. It's pretty fun,
okay.
but it was kind of difficult too. So starting with, I think if I last spoke about Final Fantasy 15, then the first of the batch of games was probably that one, A Knight's Tale. So the story behind that was probably had the code on the receipt, and I probably threw out the receipt before noticing the code. So I had to look on eBay, and like an idiot, I spent $50 on a code. So I was like, you know what, I really want to play this. You know, I was more so, I more so wanted it because I should have had it. Like it was kind of just like the matter that I didn't have it when I should have. That I was like, you know what, I gotta buy this because I should have it.
Yeah.
So I wound up getting it, and it was interesting. It wasn't an RPG. It was a 2D sprite brawler that had some RPG elements. So you can use magic attacks. You can do some combos. Um, and you know what I'm talking about, brawler, kind of like your
Yeah.
Double Dragon or your old Simpsons
Yeah.
arcade thing. So it had a very arcade or SNES feel to it.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if it's completely canon to the story, because the story is when the main character of 15 is younger, and his father is telling him a bedtime story about, I guess, him, like the king, when he was younger.
Mm-hmm.
So he tells Noctis about his story when he's, I guess, not really I guess he would be a knight, but he was the king or prince. And him teaming up with some of the characters that are in 15 that have some sort of connection to the king that you just kind of assume that they fought together. They kind of hint at it. So you're kind of like, all right, so this must be canon. But then by the end of the game, you question how realistic the final boss is. I honestly have no idea, like, if it was just since you're playing through the story that the king
Mm-hmm.
is telling, I have no idea if the final boss is really like the main antagonist in like the true story, or if he's
Yeah.
kind of exaggerating it to make his son's bedtime story a bit more fantastical.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's not really like, I'm not going to spoil it because I don't know how surprising or not it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going through the game. Well, I guess it's kind of a surprise because the character is always in shadow and they don't show him until the end. But it's not like I was expecting it to be a character who is in Final Fantasy 15 and be like, oh, I didn't know that he had a history with, the king or whatever. But it had, as far as I'm concerned, the main antagonist in this 2D brawler has nothing to do with with the game. It's just this random thing. So, but the gameplay was pretty nice. It was pretty tight. Problem is that at some points it was really difficult.
Oh.
And that got shitty.
Yeah. I
But
can imagine.
it was what it was. I beat it, and then I was like, oh, that was cool, and then I stopped and played the next game on my list. I'm always playing. I haven't lately, but because I'm kind of waiting for more story updates. But the mobile game Kingdom Hearts Unchained Key, I finally beat all the story, and I didn't realize that they don't have all the story up, so I'm still waiting for more. But you finally get introduced to. Are you familiar with Kingdom Hearts?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm familiar with the main story. So like the one with Aqua and like the smaller games, I don't know much about.
Okay.
But 1, 2, and Chain of Memories, I know.
Okay. That's like a fraction of the universe, but
yeah, I know. I just know the main stuff.
Well, the small
the
stuff is main too.
The stuff I grew up with,
Okay.
with Sora.
Well, there in Unchained Key, it takes place before the Keyblade War that they always talk about, and by the end of the complete story, I believe it leads into the Keyblade War. But there's a couple of characters involved in the story named, and I'm not sure about the pronunciations, but it's Ephemer, and the other one is a girl. I forget the girl's name, but like I always saw her in artwork and heard of her because the game was originally a PC game or a desktop game in Japan before they made it mobile worldwide. So the story has been complete, but only in Japan on the now, I don't even think it's up anymore, but it was the online game on the websites online, on some website. Browser game, that's the word I was looking for, it was a browser game. But this character finally appears towards the end of whatever they have updated now. And she was in the same, I think she was in the same, okay, there are these factions. There were basically the story of what happened up to the Keyblade War is there's this unknown kind of guy named the Master of Masters. He could see into the future, and he writes this book called the Book of Prophecies that talks about events to come. And he has six followers. One of them, each of them has their own faction, but one of them, his name is Lucio. He doesn't have a faction. He kind of goes off and does his own thing. But the Master of Masters gives each of the people in they're called foretellers. That's the word I was looking for. Each of the members, each of the followers. Oh my God, I can't talk. Each of the followers has their own faction. Each of them is called a foreteller, and they each have their own goals given to them by the Master of Masters, which the CGI film kind of gets into. So I'm not going to get into that right now.
Okay.
But they each have a faction. They're each trying to do the right thing. And I believe it's mentioned in the cell phone or the mobile game that there's supposedly a traitor amongst the foretellers. And, you don't know who it is, and everybody's kind of uppity, and each faction has their own, like, their followers are all Keyblade wielders, and in the game, your player character is a Keyblade wielder in whichever faction you choose to be in. But whichever one you choose to be changes the character Ephemer, changes his faction, and I guess it also therefore affects the girl. I forget her name. So that's my poor explanation of the setup. And you go from world to world, and if you're like me, you wonder, wait, if this is taking place before the Keyblade War, how are characters like Aladdin and stuff existing? and it gets explained, so it does make sense. Obviously, there's time travel involved, but actually, I don't think it's a spoiler that what you wind up, the worlds that you go to, they're with as being spoiler free as I can. Basically, the Book of Prophecy somehow takes elements from the future, and that so you're basically playing in like a future version of those worlds.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say much more than that because then I would start to get into spoiler territory. So it makes sense, but if you want to understand how exactly it makes sense, you can play the mobile game, or you can read the story online. But
Okay.
basically you go around fighting darkness because that's what you always do. So you're always fighting Heartless, and by the end of what I got up to, it seems like it's really getting into the meat of the story. And Ephemer has gone missing, and some of the events that happened in the CGI film kind of are happening in the background because they're happening at the same time, which was kind of nice that you meet up with this character Ephemer and you become friends with him, and so in the CGI film, which I'm not, I keep mentioning it because it's happening at the same time as Unchained Key, but
Yeah.
I'm trying not to go into that because I'm talking about the game, but it's hard to not mention it because they're the same story. So it's neat that because they intertwine, your character, like the I guess the quote unquote main character, is you. So the film can't show you. So obviously you're not in the film, but the only role you really have is that you're just one of the many Keyblade wielders. So they could kind of get away with treating you like an insignificant character because in the end you kind of are. You're just kind of doing some good deeds. But it's neat how in the film there's a scene where Ephemer and one of the foretellers, and this happens in the game, they're chatting at the fountain in Daybreak Town, which is the new town where this is taking place. They I guess they must always chat. I don't know their history together because I don't even think they're from the same faction, and I don't know if you can get them to be in the same faction based on the one you choose. I'm not too sure on that. I know this probably all sounds confusing, but
That's
basically, in the game you'll see cutscenes occasionally of Ephemer and I think the foreteller. I think her name is Ava. She's the one that wears the pink robes and she has the fox mask.
Okay.
They must have some kind of unknown connection. They must be friends, or they just met and they just like share their troubles with each other. Like I don't know their exact relationship, but in the cell phone game, he tells her about how he met you as the player, and he kind of finally has made a friend, and so it's neat that in the CGI film that gets like mentioned. Like obviously he's not going to say your name, but he's like, oh, I made a friend today, and you're kind of like when you're watching, you're like, ah, that's me. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's neat that it can get away without talking about you as the main character by just mentioning, oh, I met this person or whatever, because in the end, you as the player character are important to the overall story, but at the same time you're not. So it's kind of like you're important in some respects because obviously you're saving the day, but in the overall larger scheme of things, the overall story and what's happening with the foretellers, you're still just another Keyblade wielder, I guess. It doesn't really matter, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm kind of getting into the meat of things. Things seem to be going haywire, and again, I guess I'll mention the CGI film that goes in depth with secrets that are going on behind the scenes. The film shows a lot about what the foretellers are discussing and doing, while you, as the player in the game, are playing. So it kind of goes through the same event, like the same timeline, but you're getting your two sides of the story, which is pretty neat. Now I feel like I don't even have to talk about the film. I also played and still occasionally play, and by occasionally I mean probably every day or so, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links on the iPhone or whatever else it's on. But that's very interesting. I grew up, and by grew up I mean in high school, I played a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Like the card game. I don't know if you ever played it or...
Yeah.
Okay. So you know the basic rules, how, you can have 5 monsters, 5 spell traps, your deck has to be at least 40 cards. The cool things about this game is they must have gotten the voice actors of the show to return to voice characters. So you play as the characters, you can duel some of the other characters, and then they have random no-name characters. It's basically taking place in a somewhat virtual world, digital world, where you're trying to become the duel king or queen if you're a girl. And you don't have your own character. You play as the characters from the series, and you could swap your character out. I guess it doesn't really matter too much. But it's really cool that they each have their own, they have voice acting from the actual voice actors. So you have Dan Green talking as Yugi. It's like every single, like, it can get annoying, but every move you make is like, I draw a card. And, so it's kind of cool. And based on who you're dueling, like if you're Yugi and you're dueling Kaiba, they have special things they say to each other. And then if you're Yugi and Joey, they have special things they say to each other. So like they kind of match up. Otherwise, if you're dueling like a no-name character, they kind of just have basic things they say. So instead of specifically saying, like blah 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 Kaiba, it's like just I'll beat you, this whatever. But the strange, and I don't want to say bad thing, it's more so strange, is that I don't know why they did this, but they kind of halved everything. So you're playing with, you have to play with at least 20 cards and no more than probably 30. You only have 3 monster card zones and 3 spell and trap card zones. Zone, is that the right? Slots, whatever. It's probably zone.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're playing with like half the size of a field. It's really strange, but before and after the battle phase, there's a main phase and a main phase 2, and it seems like you cannot initiate a main phase 2. So it's got its ups and downs. The upside to it is, hey, this is awesome. I can play Yu-Gi-Oh! on my cell phone, and I can play with characters from the show. But then the bad side is, it's not like, it doesn't feel like legit card game. It feels like you're playing almost like a poor man's version with awesome graphics and audio. Certain characters who have their cards from the show, like if Yugi summons the Dark Magician, then the Dark Magician has a special entrance, and Yugi's like, I summon the Dark Magician! And then if, if you're somebody else, they're not going to say that. They're just going to be like, I summon my monster!
Yeah.
And there is no special animations. And for some of them that attack, obviously they don't have attack names on the cards, but in the show they had attack names, so they'll say those attacks. It'll be like, Dark Magic Attack, and it's funny, but it's pretty cool. It's neat. It's just, I just don't understand the decision to cut the deck in half and the field in half and cut out the main phase 2. I feel like they kind of butchered the game a little bit. It's still playable. It's still fun. It's just like, this is not the full experience. So I'm hoping that they somehow include that eventually in the long run. And I don't know why they didn't. So I don't know what to make of that, honestly. But yeah, that's fun.
Huh. That's good.
There's really not much of a story other than just duel people. The cool thing is there's an auto duel button, but you can only use it for like the no-name characters. You can't use them against the characters from the series. But if you want to just get some quick duels done, you just hit auto duel, and the CPU will take over and duel for you. So you could if I went out to the diner or something with one of my friends and I had the game open, I just hit auto duel and just ignore it while the game duels for me, and I get whatever points. So.
Oh.
But they also don't have all the cards. I don't know. I feel like it's almost like a poor man's version, but at the same time, it's free, so you can't complain.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. The downside is really not big of a downside if you didn't spend money on it. It's like a free. And I feel bad saying half-assed, but it's like a free half Yu-Gi-Oh game. And even the life points are half. They went from 8,000 to 4,000, and it was 4,000 a show. So I don't know. It's very strange. I'm wondering if they'll fix it or change it, but I honestly don't know. But I don't want to start another long discussion on another game I'm playing because I want to get into the movies, but I guess to talk quick about something, I started playing the new mobile game Fire Emblem Heroes, which is really awesome, and of course it's free, but just like every freemium game, you could pay for stuff. The basic story is like, you as yourself get summoned to this world where there's two kingdoms. One has the ability to summon. To open up portals to other worlds, and the other has the ability to close those portals. And the kingdom that has the ability to close the portals decided one day, hey, let's stop closing these portals. They worked together to open and close portals, which makes me wonder what the point of opening the portals was to begin with. But so anyway, for some reason they opened these portals. And over time, the other kingdom turned against them and let's keep these portals open and let's conquer them. So these portals lead to the worlds of all the Fire Emblem games. So you can the bad guys, the bad kingdom keeping the gates open, they go conquer the worlds, and for some reason, if they conquer them, then the heroes of that world have to abide by their contract. So if you want to go in, so you have to go into these worlds and quote unquote free them, break their contracts. So you have to fight these heroes from each world, which is kind of like your basic story for why you're fighting all the good guys, So you go into each of these worlds and you're fighting to free them from the clutches of evil, and. Yeah, I think I'm on chapter 5, and it's there's the prologue, and then each chapter I've played so far was a new world, and I think the latest one I played was Awakening, Fire Emblem Awakening's world. So it's called the World of Awakening. Each world's title is based on, probably has something to do with the title of each Fire Emblem game. I haven't played all the Fire Emblems, so I can't speak with 100% experience of each game. I've only played Awakening and Fates, and with Fates I've actually played all 3 stories. I can't believe I did that. So I played Conquest, Birthright, and crap, the DLC one, Revelations. That was a while back in November, December, or whenever it came out, probably even earlier, whenever. But the world or universe or timeline or whatever you want to call it where Conquest takes place, that one is called the World of Conquest. And because it was mentioned in passing, there was the world of Birthright, the World of Awakening, which I mentioned. I think there was one called the World of Binding, which there's probably a Fire Emblem game that has binding in its title. I don't know the old Fire Emblem games, because, like I said, I only played Awakening and Fates. But that's pretty much that. You're basically summoned to their world as their tactician. I don't know exactly what led to the events, but they were like, oh, we summoned a hero and you're the hero. Like, oh, do you really fit the bill? Blah, blah, blah. And of course, in fashion, in typical gaming fashion, oh, you are the hero. Okay, great. So, like, you get some weapon that summons heroes. So basically, you're the Pokemon master of Fire Emblem.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. That's my mobile gaming adventures and the one DLC Final Fantasy game. Maybe next time I'll go in depth with Resident Evil 7 or Gravity Rush 2.
Okay.
So stick around for the next episode when I talk about at least one of those. And hopefully within a few weeks I don't run out of stuff to talk about because I kind of rambled on, and next time I'll be like, I don't have anything to talk about. I was trying to avoid talking about so much, but I just talked about so much. So whatever.
It's okay.
Anyway, you're the movie expert, so would you like to host this potentially a new section of our series?
Sure.
All right.
So there was a lot that came out in the past 4 weeks. I won't go into all of them because there's just a lot of crap that comes out. But we'll talk about some of my favorite horrible ones and some of the really good ones. So one of the most popular was Resident Evil, the final movie.
I want to see that.
It's probably their best one lately.
Well, it's also the last one.
We
right?
can agree that Resident Evil films have kind of gone in interesting directions.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
This one being the last one, they really kicked it up a notch. They made it campy. They made it fun.
That's cool.
While trying to make up for the shit that was the 6th movie or the 7th. I can't even remember which number this is now. Honestly,
I don't know, honestly. But it would be kind of ironic if it was 7 because that was the newest game that came out.
Yeah, and it was so funny because when we saw it, a trailer for Resident Evil 7 actually did
really
pop up.
That's funny.
They're like, pre-order the game. It was funny. But if anything, the movie is so worth it because of Ruby Rose.
Who's that?
She's amazing. She is an actress who can do no wrong in my eyes.
Oh, lovely.
We also had the teen drama, The Space Between Us, which...
Have you watched, or have you seen all the Resident Evil movies before that one?
Yes.
Okay, so you've seen the complete, quote-unquote, epic of Resident Evil films.
First, second, Apocalypse, Afterlife.
What were they? The first one was just Resident Evil. Second was Apocalypse.
Resident Evil.
Third
that was the third one. Resident Evil 3 was
Apocalypse was the second one. That was the one in the
second one
city. That was when it broke out into the city, right?
I can't even remember.
And
There's
Nemesis was in that one.
Extinction. There's so many. Retribution. I don't even know the order of them, honestly. Apocalypse, Retribution, Extinction.
I think Extinction might have been the third one. I think the first one was in the Hive. The second one was in Raccoon City. The third one was in some kind of wasteland area. Right?
Yeah.
The fourth one was
Afterlife.
Was that on the boat?
Yes.
I think that was the last one that came out. No, there's definitely another
Retribution was with... Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh. I'm like... I gotta look this up now.
Yeah. Like, I know their names.
Let's go to good old Wikipedia. Because the internet doesn't lie.
Yeah, well, while you're looking that up, The Space Between Us came out. It's another teen book made into a movie.
Of course.
You could skip it. It's not that.
You could skip it.
I mean, it's about a boy who lives on Mars.
That sounds cool.
And he's in love with a girl who's on Earth, and he goes to Earth, but he can't stay there because his heart is not accustomed to Earth's gravity.
Huh. How does he meet her if she's on a different planet?
They chat online.
Oh.
As you do.
That actually sounds like a really interesting concept.
You would think so, but
You would.
it's not good.
It's not?
It's it's not. The formula is so generic that I feel like I've seen this movie so many times.
Yeah, it's
The
called
more
Romeo and
recent
Juliet.
films, yeah, oh my gosh. The more recent films that came out were Rings, which was the third of the Ring series.
How many are there? There's only three?
There's only three English ones. I don't know how many Japanese ones there are.
Saringu.
Yeah. Compared to the second one, it was a better sequel.
Mhm.
Still not as good as the first one. There were some good moments, and the acting wasn't atrocious, but there were still like it kind of broke its own rules with the videotape and well, no, it's no longer a videotape. It's like you can download it and send it out. Apparently,
Hmm.
there's some interesting scenes which a lot of people, if they've seen the trailer, you would know about the airplane scene, which is the worst scene in movie history aside from Snakes on a Plane. Like
Which scene is this? Or which movie?
it's they're flying on an airplane and the ring tape starts playing
Who
and
would play that on an airplane?
that's see it makes no sense.
Somebody had to have watched that beforehand and been like, I'm going to put this on a plane. But you would think that they would be dead, so they wouldn't be able to put it
Yeah,
on the
it
plane.
was
So it's like, how it got on the plane doesn't really make sense.
it was probably one of the worst scenes, but it was over so fast, so that we have that to look forward to. Um, there were some good scares. The ring face wasn't that good. You know what the ring face is?
It's
When
just a
they
little girl's
find
face.
your scared body when you're dead and you have that
Oh,
like horrified look.
I've
In the
never
first
seen
movie
The
it
Ring,
was
so I
like,
don't know.
oh my
But it
gosh.
makes
In the
sense.
first one it's completely terrifying because that's the face you make because you die. You get so scared you die. The first one, it was grotesque and just very unsettling. The second one looked like a derp face. This one was a mixture of the two. It was
Derp scared.
derpy and it was very like, okay, that's kind of creepy. I don't want to look at it anymore.
Derp horror.
Yes. I mean, if you really like scary films, it's not that scary, but you could give it a
Hmm.
try. And then probably my favorite movie I saw was Split.
Which one is that?
M. Night Shyamalan's big return to filmmaking.
Was it a big return?
It was really good. I was pleasantly
Oh,
surprised. I
okay.
was very
Good for
skeptical
him.
and I was going in with really low expectations. I
That's
saw The
probably why it was
Visit.
good.
Yeah, I saw The
Little do you
Visit.
know that you were the plot twist. Um, you were like,
It's a
this is gonna
twist. It
suck.
was really good.
No, it wasn't. See, he purposefully made shitty movies up till then, just to.
That's the real twist.
That's the real twist. You
Yeah.
were the
So it
latest
was
M. Night Shyamalan movie.
it was really unsettling. You felt claustrophobic. I'm not going to spoil it because it you have to see the movie. Like I can't just say,
Is there
"Oh,
like a
this movie was good."
spoiler-free plot? Like, what's the basic? Like, how does it
Yeah, the
start?
basis of
Like,
the
what's
film
going on?
is James McAvoy has 23 different personalities and
Okay, this
one
sounds
of the per
familiar.
yeah, one of the personalities kidnaps three young girls and hides them. And
Mm.
they have to figure out which personality they can convince to let them go. He's got like a woman, he's got a 9-year-old boy, he has a crazy delinquent. There's just a whole wide variety of personalities. And then there's another one that might come, and that's the one that they're all scared of, all the personalities except for one, which is
Hmm.
the person who brought them there.
Interesting.
So I highly recommend it. It was probably my favorite
What
movie.
genre is that?
I would
Psychological
say
thriller?
psychological thriller.
Okay.
There weren't really a lot of, jump scares or anything. It was mostly like you felt super tense. Because at any given moment, he changes a personality. Like, you could be talking to someone, and then all of a sudden, his mannerisms change, and his, like, the look on his face changes, and you know another personality has taken over.
So
And
I guess you would say that the acting was probably phenomenal.
oh my gosh. If James McAvoy doesn't ever get nominated for an Oscar or something, it's a crime. It was fantastic. There was a scene where he actually did 3 personas in one. He was a personality pretending to be the main personality, trying not to come off as his real personality. It was really confusing, but like you could tell in his facial expressions and the way he was like trying to speak without having his accent. It was crazy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wait, each
So,
personality had their own accent?
like, the 9-year-old had a lisp. There is a British woman. There is I wouldn't say he was a gay man, but he sounded very effeminate. But he was a man. You had a very kind of southerner type accent. And then you had like a normal, I'd say Bostonian accent. It was very interesting trying to catch everything.
That sounds really cool. How long was that movie?
About 2 hours.
When did this come out?
This came out not last week or the week before. I think the week I got sick. I think it came out January 20th.
Okay.
And then I saw it a week later.
All right.
So trying to keep away from spoilers was like the worst.
Well, I did a good job because I didn't even know about it.
Really?
It wasn't that hard.
It's really good.
Um,
And that's really kind of all of the main movies. There have been some random ones, but nothing too crazy.
I watched a couple of movies in the past few weeks. I saw a movie called War Dogs.
Oh, yeah. With Jonah Hill.
We were going to record that night, and I was like, before we were going to record, I started watching the movie, and then I was like, oh, can I finish this movie so I can have a movie to talk about? And then by the time it ended, I think you fell asleep, and I was like, damn it, I should have just recorded, so that was my bad.
No, like, it's a good movie.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I think the genre, or quote unquote genre, it was like supposed to be a comedy drama, but it wasn't. I mean, it had some funny elements, but it definitely wasn't a comedy. Like, it had some lighthearted, funny moments. So I guess comedy drama is a fitting genre to call it, but again, it felt more like a drama than a comedy. So if you go in expecting to be, all right, this is going to be a really funny comedy, Jonah Hill is a really funny guy. I mean, yeah, he's funny, and it has its funny moments, but don't go into that movie expecting it to be a comedy movie. It's going to be a drama with some comedy in it. But the basic premise, and it was based on a true story, and I don't remember the characters' names, but basically it was this guy, he's got this, I don't want to say crappy job, but he's got a job that he's not too proud of, and he's not feeling good about it and about himself for having the job. And he winds up meeting up with one of his old high school best friends, which is played by Jonah Hill. And by the way, the main character, I forget the actor's name, but I recognize him from the movie. Have you seen Divergent?
Yes, I have.
Okay, he is the character.
Miles Teller.
Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, the one who's always like, you can't tell what side he's on.
The very cynical one.
Yeah, he constantly switches from good to bad, but like he's always in it for himself, and that's like a spoiler-free description of him. That's just his character. He's always switching sides because he does whatever's convenient to him. But anyway, he's a great actor, and I forget, was that the character's name you said, or the actor's name?
The actor.
Oh, okay, so Miles Teller is his name, the actor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. So he plays the main character. He's the one who, doesn't really like how his life's going. And Jonah Hill plays the old friend of his, and he meets up with him, and his friend, again, I don't know the character's name, so I'm just gonna call them by their actors' names. So Jonah, he's like got so much money, and he's like taking him out, and they're reconnecting, having a good time, and I don't know if he mentions his business before hearing about his financial problems, or if he knows about his business and then he says that I've been looking for a business partner, blah blah blah, and he tells him about his business, and his business, from what I understand, is they take they take weapons from battlefields, or they get a hold of ammo or guns or tanks or whatever, and they sell them to governments. So they're arms dealers, but they kind of they get away with getting the scraps that people find, and they'll sell them to bigger governments or whatever. So kind of like the bidding, whoever bids for it. And they wind up getting caught into this. They wind up getting caught into this. What you call it? This job, I guess you would call it. And things just start going wrong with it, and it's kind of like watching how they react to it. And it's like, oh, this is like their biggest job, so it's like they feel like compelled to stick to it. And it's like, how are we going to get through this if we want this job to pay off, because it'll make the company, it'll put them on the map. But at the same time, they really shouldn't be trying to, they really probably should be just quitting it, and just finding another job, because they're starting to get into illegal territory. So it's just interesting to see their decisions and how they go about doing certain things. And that's pretty much the spoiler-free story, and how that unravels. And he feels compelled not only for himself to make money, but because he has a wife who is also having a baby, and he feels like, oh, I gotta make this money for them. So it was very interesting. Again, it had its funny moments, but it wasn't a comedy, in my opinion. It was a drama with comedy sprinkled in. And then the other movie I could remember that I watched I finally saw Princess and the Frog.
Aww.
Completely different than War Dogs. But I saw The Princess and the Frog, and I thought it was really awesome. I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did. And main villain was pretty interesting. Have you seen Princess and the Frog?
Yes, I have.
Okay, I thought Dr. Facilier was pretty awesome. But I don't understand, and I can't quite talk about it without spoiling. That seems to be the word of the day, spoiler. I don't want to spoil anything, but blah, blah, blah. Not to spoil anything, but blah, blah, blah. But, not to spoil anything, but, something happens at the end where it's he's like, oh, I could still do this, and then the other guys are, they don't want to hear it. But you kind of think to yourself, well, he probably still really could do it, so why don't they give him an extra chance, It's like, if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. If you didn't, that's not really a spoiler, because you don't know what I'm talking about. But you probably know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it's he brings up a good point. He's like, oh, I still got this, and I still got that, just, give me another chance. It's like, yeah, what you got so far, why not give him another chance, It's like you got as far as you did. So, I don't know. That was for the story to turn out the way it did, I guess it had to happen. But if within the context of the reality of the movie, or whatever you would refer to that as, within the context of the, in the physics, or whatever that term is, where, within the reality of, built by that story, it didn't make sense to me. But outside, like, looking outside and being like, all right, we got a movie that needs to start wrapping up, it works. You know? It's just strange that within the context of the movie, it's like, they really should have given him another chance.
Yeah.
You know, but, the voice acting was great, and I hope it works its way into the next Kingdom Hearts game, because I want to see, I want to see Dr. Facilier summon Heartless and fight like, Princess and the Frog-esque Heartless. I think that'd be pretty fun. And I'd be interested to see how they would handle the portions where they're the parts of the movie where they're human and the parts where they're animals. Obviously, being frogs, they're much smaller. So I'm curious how, if they did do that in Kingdom Hearts, what part of the film would it take place in, and how big or small would your character be? Because you said you didn't play Birth by Sleep, but in that game, when you're Aqua and Terra, you're normal size. But for some reason, when you're Ventus, you're small and you interact with the mice. But there was no story explanation of why only Ventus was small. So I'm like, they'll probably come up with some bullshit reason for you to get small and grow big too. Like, I don't know. Maybe you'll turn into a frog too and be like Frog Sora and Frog Donald and Frog Goofy, or different animals or swamp bugs or whatever. Which also makes me wonder, if it wasn't Kingdom Hearts, what would be the name of the world? Because it takes place in Louisiana, so it's like, they're not going to be like, oh, let's fly on our gummy ship to Louisiana. It'd probably be like whatever swamp, or I don't know. That was me going into video games again. But yeah, Princess and the Frog was definitely awesome. I really wish that they would continue, at least occasionally, doing the traditional animation, because I really miss the traditional animation. I mean, computer animation's fine too, but there's something so beautiful about the traditional animation.
Yeah.
Oh man, what was before Princess and the Frog? What was the last traditional animated Disney movie?
Well, Princess and the Frog was the last official 2D Disney animation.
What was before that?
Before that was Winnie the Pooh. The 2011 movie.
No, I didn't see it. Was that the Tigger thing? Tigger time? I don't know.
No, it was just called Winnie the Pooh, and it came out in 2011.
Okay. Oh, and before we wrap up the movie section, I have open the Resident Evil films. The first one was Resident Evil. The second one was Apocalypse, and that was in the city.
Okay.
The third one was Extinction, and that was in the, I think it was Mojave Desert?
Yeah, it was in the
something
desert.
Like that. Some desert. Then was Afterlife, and that was on the boat called Arcadia.
Mm-hmm.
And then was Retribution, and that was, I believe, it was in some kind of underwater facility.
Mm-hmm.
And then the final chapter, which I didn't see yet, and I'd like to.
Yeah.
Because even if I didn't like the series, after watching 5 movies, I might as well see the last one. But I do like the movies. Mm-hmm. I mean, as a big fan of Resident Evil, you would think I wouldn't like it because it goes against the game story. But I just treat it as an alternate universe, so it's like it doesn't get in the way. But whatever. So, I guess unless you have any other movies to talk about, I guess that wraps up the movie section.
Yeah.
So, before we end it, we're just going to bring up some things that are coming out this week. And, in the world of gaming, there's really nothing coming out this week. I mean, today is Tuesday, February 7th. And if you're listening to this in the future, it's 2017. And, well, I did have it open, and it's not open anymore. The only thing, and according to GameStop, because that's when I'm looking at the coming soon, the only thing coming out this week, and by this week I mean up to February 11th, which is Saturday, the only thing is, on February 9th we have Nintendo Select's Kirby Triple Deluxe for the 3DS coming out, and I don't think that's really a new game. Nintendo Select's, I think that's kind of like your greatest hits-esque
Mm-hmm.
kind of game. So it's not really a new game. I'm sure there's a bunch of PC games. I took a look at Metacritic, and when you look at the PC section, you get pages of games coming out because a lot of them are, I don't want to say bad games, I don't want to say small games, but just like, I guess, very independent publishers. Like, hey, this is my game. Hey, this is my game. Hey, check out this game.
Yeah.
That might not be it, but that's my understanding of it. It seems like it's just a bunch of people like throwing their games up there, and Metacritic may or may not be just listing all the ones that are set to release. And since I don't play games on the PC, I'm just kind of like, unless there's a major game coming out that I know of, I'm just going to kind of shy away from talking about what's coming out on PC. One, I don't know, and two, I don't know. So it looks like this week all that's coming out is the re-release of Kirby Triple Deluxe. And I don't recall if it was originally on the DS or 3DS, but this one's on the 3DS. So,
Okay.
cool. And what movies are coming out this week?
We have the Lego Batman movie, which I will see Friday.
I didn't even see the first one.
Oh my gosh.
I should.
It is. You have 50 Shades Darker.
I saw the first one, so
No,
I
you
might
didn't.
as well see the second one. Yeah,
Oh
I did.
no.
What do you mean, oh no?
I don't know. That movie, like, I can't watch it without reverting back to the challenge of trying to read the book without laughing.
Well, it's not a movie I would see a second time. It was something
it's like,
out of, like, curiosity. It was like, what is this movie that every woman is jerking off to?
like, I'll be honest, I
like,
won't see it in theaters, but when it does come out, I'll watch it just to give my 2 cents on it.
That's not something I'm like, I gotta see this. I'm just kind of like, the first one was okay. I kind of want to know what happens because I saw the first one. And so I'm like...
Don't read the book.
I have no intention of reading the book.
So worse.
I'm just like, you know what? If the next movie's coming out, which apparently it is, it's like, whenever it's in front of me and it's free, and by that I mean, like, my mom will probably buy it because her and my sisters like the first one.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll probably see it for free then. I mean, I have no intention of going out of my way to see it.
And then the last one, which I'm super excited for, is John Wick Chapter 2.
John Wick?
Yes.
I don't know. It's like, we are, like, you to games is like me to movies. I feel like. It's
but
like...
John Wick is amazing.
I'm so not knowing anything about movies. And not that you don't know anything about games, but you don't, like, I guess you don't play them as much as I do. I'm like, oh, I got like 10 games I played this week. And you're like, I didn't play anything. And then the other way around, it's like, I didn't really watch anything. And you're like, oh, I watched everything this week.
Yep.
So it's like, but like, the thing about that is, I don't know much about these movies because I didn't see many movies. So that's fun because we get to poke fun at each other for not knowing what we're talking about. so that's where you get to poke fun at me because I have no idea what John Wick is.
Ooh. It's really good.
Is it?
It's a neo-noir action thriller. The first one was probably one of my favorite action films, and I'm not really an action film type of person, but it was pretty good. And Keanu Reeves
is cool.
He doesn't age. He just gets better. It's really good. It's almost like a mixture of martial arts film and anime, but live action. I don't know why. It
cool.
looks like something you'd see in an anime.
Interesting.
Yeah, a lot of the fight scenes are very beautifully choreographed. Yeah.
I might have to check it out, especially if you said the first one was really good.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
It was real. I have it on Blu-ray.
I guess it's good if you bought it.
Oh yeah.
But then again, I bought Zoolander 2 because I thought that was amazing, and apparently I'm the only one. That laugh makes me think that you disagree.
I have no comment on the disappointment of Zoolander 2.
The first one was amazing. Can we agree on that? All right, we can agree.
Oh
on
my
that.
gosh, it was. And that's the reason I gave Zoolander 2 money.
Yes, and I liked it, and I guess you didn't.
It wasn't, I think it was really overhyped.
I guess
And
you
then when I
you would.
saw it, it wasn't what I hoped it would be.
Okay, that's fair enough. I still thought it was funny, but see, my problem with that movie was that all or most of the jokes I saw in the trailer.
Oh
So
yeah, the trailers have an issue with that.
if I had not seen any trailers for this movie, I probably would have liked it even more. But a lot of the stuff, I feel like most of the stuff I laughed at was like, oh, I saw that in the trailer. Oh, I saw that in the trailer. And there was like maybe 2 or 3 jokes that I didn't know about. And I was like, oh, those were funny. Like, I laughed at those because I wasn't expecting those. So I'm just like, I wish that I didn't see any trailers for this movie because I would have had an even better time. And I already had a good time with it, but, I would have had a legitimate amazing time. But, alrighty, we are at the hour mark, and that's pretty much about the time we start to say bye-bye. And, not that, we unofficially aim for an hour, but, quality over quantity. If we have nothing to talk about, we end it sooner. But I think we did pretty good. We had stuff to talk about. I got to ramble on, and you got to sit there and listen to me ramble. And then you got to talk about some quality stuff, and I got to learn about movies that came out.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing if we record next week, you'll have the Lego Batman movie to talk about.
Oh yeah.
All right. Anything you want to say before you go?
Watch John Wick.
All right.
That's all I can say.
Okay. And as always, the links for other things are in the description. If you're listening on SoundCloud, it's going to be in the description. If you're listening on YouTube, it's going to be in the description. So you can visit our whatever we feel like telling you to visit. You can visit that. And as always, I'm going to plug my comic Spirit Legends that have some motion comic episodes that Joey got to lend her voice talents in the first and second episode. And I believe those are the only episodes that are out anyway. Third one should be out this spring, according to my animator. Then I gotta edit stuff and get voices again. But hey, that's it for today. Alright, thanks everybody for listening to us. And as always, good gaming and good night. And good watching movies.
Bye!